Once you find yourself in conflict with a narcissist, it's a virtual guarantee they're going to start playing head games with you. That's why I put together a new course. It's very extensive called Anger Games. I'm going to teach you how to manage anger and conflict with a narcissist. There's a link below that's going to show you how to register, and I hope that you find it to be very insightful. If you're associated with a strongly narcissistic individual, you're going to see that person's anger. They're not going to leave you wondering if they feel ticked off, because they do. Anger isn't necessarily an identifying ingredient of narcissism, but it's a byproduct of all of the primary indicators of what narcissism is. The narcissist wants to be in control. They have an attitude of entitlement. They're quite willing to manipulate and exploit other individuals. They must be in the superior position. They don't have any particular empathy for you. They're tightly defended. All of that's part of the identifying pattern of narcissism, and the byproduct is quite commonly anger. In other words, they have so much invested in making their lives go well at your expense that they're going to get angry when they don't get their way. Now, one of the things you'll notice with respect to the narcissist's anger, it's virtually never a one and done kind of expression, if you will. Now, they can come to a close after they rant and rave, but you know that it's going to show up again. And it doesn't take much, and it may be that you're having a perfectly normal day and then something can tick them off and the anger comes back. They just simply can't let it go. They keep going back to the anger. It's kind of like an old friend that never was very good for them, but they're familiar with it. They just keep going back to the anger over and over. And you can be thinking, when is this going to end? And the answer is, it doesn't. They can't let go. Now, there's one primary reason. And it's once you see it, it's just as clear as day. There's one primary reason that narcissists cannot let go of their anger. And that's plain and simple. Narcissists do not want to examine themselves. It's too ugly for them to do so. It's too embarrassing. They refuse to reflect on who they are and why they feel the way they feel. Instead, what they do is they put the focus entirely out there and they refuse to examine what's in here. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. How many times have you heard comments such as these? You let me down. You are so stupid. You got your facts wrong. You are constantly negative. You are too argumentative. You are so moody. I don't respect you. I can't count on you. Well, why do I even bother talking with you? You're so close-minded. You don't make any sense. Notice that whenever narcissists are angry, they keep using that little bitty word, you. And that's a complete giveaway as to what their thinking really is. In their mind, their anger is inevitably someone else's fault. Now, I can appreciate that each one of us can have our moments where disappointments will happen, or plans fall apart, or, gaps in understanding will occur, or opinions can clash. But see, my thing is, even if it's not you that they're having all of these things with, if you were off the scene, if it was somebody else, the narcissist would still be doing that. They want to make it all about you, but they're going to carry that anger and they're going to carry that mindset regardless of who happens to be in front of them. And that's such a crucial thing for you to understand, because they certainly don't want you to think that it's anyone else's fault except yours, when in fact, really, the problem is they don't have any good coping skills, and because they refuse to examine who they are. Narcissists remain perpetually angry because their focus is on the wrong person. I hope you hear that, and I hope you hear it strongly. So, with that in mind, let's turn the tables. Now, I know that it's hardly going to do any good, but there's so many things that I would like to ask the narcissist about, and I'd like to get that person to reflect on certain things relative to their own expressions of anger. For example, I'd like to ask that person, What does your anger say about your own raw selfishness? You know, it's always about me. Can we talk about that and why and how you come to think that way? Or what about your constant feeling of victimization? It's not just in one or two little circumstances. You're constantly worried about how people have done you wrong over and over. Anywhere you go, that's where it tends to show up. And by the way, what does the anger say about your obsessive need to be right and to have the final word? That's something that's on the inside of you regardless of the outer circumstances. Why are you so controlling? Why do you find another person's freedom to choose for themselves? Why do you find that to be so threatening? Do you fear another person's distinctions and uniqueness? What's that all about? How did you become so easily defensive? And you'll notice that the anger is, the old saying, the best defense is a good offense. Their anger just illustrates how thin-skinned they are. Where did that come from? What's the origin of such a strong defensive structure that guides them in the way that they manage conflict and strain? Why do you always have to win? That's a question I'd like to ask the narcissist. Or let's take that question a little bit further. Why do you always have to destroy? The anger is not managed in a clean way. There actually is a clean form of anger where we can talk about our frustrations, but and people can still walk away with their dignity intact. That doesn't happen with a narcissist. They want to pummel you verbally, and they want to make sure that you walk away feeling terrible about yourself. I win, but that's how they think. Why is that? How did you come to think that way? What do you hope to accomplish when you're mean? What do you hope to accomplish by holding on to grudges? What do you hope to accomplish by holding people in contempt? What do you hope to accomplish by being forceful and domineering over individuals? Does that really make you feel like a somebody? Because that happens far too often. What is it about complexity that trips you up so easily? Do you have no capacity for analytical thinking? Do you have no capacity of simply breaking down subjects or circumstances with objective thinking? And what about love? What about respect? And what about honor? Can those ingredients also be a part of you, even in moments when you're angry? In other words, can your anger have a sense of decency that accompanies that? Do you see the link between your own anger and the psychological pain that you've been carrying for years? Those are questions that I'd like to ask that person. Now, I'm a therapist, and I know that you know that I've worked a whole lot with people that have anger management issues, and those who are going to grow beyond their anger need to set aside the narcissistic tendency to say, no, it's not about me, it's about everyone else. And I know better than that, and you know better than that. Okay, other people can disappoint, but what is it inside of you that makes you so susceptible to the angry responses that you come up with? And the narcissist will repeatedly let it be known, it's not about me, it's about everybody else out there. Okay, I get it. You don't want to examine yourself. Instead, they blame. They accuse, and they try to push the responsibility for their problems onto anyone and everyone except themselves. Okay, what they're really revealing when they take that kind of approach toward their own anger management is they're basically saying, I have no internal peace to draw upon. I have no internal competence to draw upon. To me, showing acceptance and tolerance toward other individuals feels like I'm betraying my own core beliefs and values, as if being right is far more important than being respectful or kind. I can only cope. This is another thing their anger reveals. I can only cope if everything fits my perfect, idealistic fantasy. And in other words, they're also revealing my thinking is not grounded in reality. I work really hard to have a domineering image, but deep down, really, what my anger reveals is I'm just a hurt little child on the inside. That's who I really am. Wouldn't it be nice if a narcissist could say, I'd like to move beyond my anger, and I'd like to do it by examining myself as opposed to forcing whoever's in front of me to conform to my requirements? I mean, once you see it, it's so glaringly obvious, but they just simply don't see it. You ask a person, a narcissist, who do you want to be? They'll go back to that victim's mindset. Well, I want to be somebody who can live in peace without these idiots and morons making my life miserable. That's who I want to be. It's always about the other person. So, okay. Why don't we on Team Healthy decide, there are times when I get angry, when you get angry. But rather than saying it's all about everyone else, why don't we take a page from their book and turn it around and say, but I'm not going to just blame everyone else. I'm going to ask, well, what is this going to tell me about me? And what can I examine about who I am? How can I grow? How can I learn? And in doing so, I can have more of that sense of steadiness. The narcissist, when they would hear someone like me say that, they think, yeah, I think that all the rest of you need to do that. I'm not going to, but I think you need to. It's like, okay, I get it. The narcissist is going to be chronically held back by their own psychological incompetence. I'm hoping you can see that and then recognize I don't want to get pulled into a tit for tat kind of exchange with them while they're in that kind of mindset and when they're in that way of thinking. I'm going to take responsibility for who I am. And if they feel like they must hold on to their anger, that's on to me, but they can hold on to that anger without me being present to be the recipient of it all. Now, I hope the videos such as this can give you some good awareness of what you're dealing with. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. We'll keep more videos coming your direction. Once you get onto my channel, you'll see a videos tab. You can click into that. There's a whole bunch of videos that you can watch and peruse. Many times when you're dealing with something like this, you can think, I could use some therapy. I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. It's an online therapy resource. And it can be so helpful for you to be able to select that person. All you have to do is go through the link that we have below, and you can select a therapist after answering a few questions. It can be so good for that person to say, I want to know who you are. I want to understand what your circumstances are, how we can respond in the wisest way. As the need is there, please get the help. We have the link that's there, and invest in yourself in that kind of way. Now, in my retirement from my own therapy practice, I put together courses, and these are online courses. You can do it at your own pace, and you can share with anybody you want. Each course consists of at least 25 teaching videos, and each video has handouts with guided questions. We have the anger games, which is all about what I'm talking about here. This is me about establishing boundaries. Free to be, ready, set, connect. Descriptors are beneath the video here as well as on my website. We also have access on my website to many articles, to my webinars, which are 90-minute presentations, PowerPoint presentations, and they're quite popular. You can look into those as well as my podcast, my books, plenty of resources. Okay, narcissists can't let go of their anger because they're constantly saying, but it's you. You're the problem. They will not examine who they are. That's it in a nutshell. And so they're stuck. And it's like, okay, you've got what you've got. I'm not going to get stuck with them. I'm hoping that you can decide I'm going to move on. And if they're going to be stuck in their anger, that's on them. I want to be a person of dignity, respect, and civility. That's what we stand for here on Team Healthy. And as you commit to that kind of thinking, I hope that you find it more and more probable that you will go deeper and deeper into your place of personal peace.